Hello, everybody. My name is Kyle Zwaagstra. I am Strategic Partnership Manager here at Acro Commerce. We're excited to be here today talking to you about VAR and agency partnerships and why Acumatica value-added resellers should be working together with B2B digital agencies to find the best solution in B2B e-commerce. I'm here presenting with my cohort, Calvin Barrett, Product Manager here at Acro. Hi, Calvin.
Hi, everybody.
And yeah, we'll just dive into it. Brief introduction to Acro Commerce. We specialize in digital transformation and tailored e-commerce technology for B2B companies and manufacturers. We generally work with companies looking to move their sales processes online or have disjointed tech stacks and can't find a platform that connects that data or accommodates how they sell. Typically, we hear that they suffer from being unable to sell directly to their customers via digital commerce, or they have to manage multiple systems, or they're upset with being locked into proprietary technologies that prevent innovation. As mentioned, the topic here today is VAR and agency collaboration, and effectively in working closely together, B2B digital agencies can empower Acumatica VARs to become the provider of choice in mid-market enterprise and e-commerce. So we'll really be diving into how we work together, how that technical architecture looks, what each partner is bringing to the table. Acro, we have a extensive experience in e-commerce development dating back 25 years, and we are looking for partners to work with who have that same experience on the ERP side. So let's start out the outcome. What is success in a B2B transformation? Well, the first thing our customers are looking for is a reduced time to market. For a lot of companies, this is the first time that they're going online. And when you're trying e-commerce for the first time, it's really important to get online quickly and start adjusting along the way, as the requirements will change and update as we go. At Acro, we lean heavily on our strategic partnerships that we've developed. We've been building on this for a very long time. We have existing integrations. What that allows us to do is plug in those integrations and get a minimum viable product or an MVP off the ground and running for our customers in a short amount of time. There's always some custom components, but when you start with a strategy like this, with partnerships and an already existing ecosystem, we can get going fairly quickly. We also at Acro have a very strong project management team that works agile. This means giving our customers deliverables regularly, early, and often so they can see the work and the progress that we're making on their projects. Another aspect of this is reduced upfront cost. Like I said, using our partnership network, getting that MVP, implementing iteratively allows us to be flexible and scalable as our solutions address evolving business challenges. You're going to come across different challenges that you need faced, and we can do that with our partnership network. Effective solutions on the front end with the optimal CMS and commerce configuration tied into the world-class backend ERP solutions is really the goal we're aiming for here. We've seen Acumatica and their VARs in this space as great companions, and we look forward to working even more closely. So I've been talking for a little while. Calvin, now's a great chance for me to throw to you. What is the solution here? What are we looking to do in this space?
Yeah, I think I'll take a step back and say we're in a world where you have so many options. Think of it a little bit like a buffet where you have all of these different types of food lined up to you, and nobody at a buffet wants to have a set menu where they don't really have that flexibility to pick what they want. A lot of the times the solutions can get you part of the way there, but there are some struggles in trying to get through to that. And so that's why partnerships are so key in this whole ecosystem. It's not about being a monolith and having all of that knowledge in one contained base, but having it spread out amongst your partnerships so that we can lift each other up collectively, especially for B2B manufacturers as they're starting to step into that e-commerce digital presence. So with that said, it's so important for VARs to be part of this because the ERP solution, the VARs are the experts understanding the solution and then being able to work together with an agency such as Acro to build upon that. And that's why we've developed Gesso, our in-house accelerator, to combine all of these best-in-class services such as ERP solutions, e-commerce, and CMS, and really leverage our partners' strengths going forward.
You mentioned Gesso, which is our accelerator that you and I and everybody at Acro talks about so often. But can you shed a little bit of light on that for everybody else here who's maybe a little less familiar?
Yeah, so when I say gesso, don't think the canvas primer gesso. Gesso is our decoupled in-house accelerator. It's really great for getting started spinning up a new project. So when you think about it, it's built on Next.js framework. We have a design system that you can quickly spin up. We use Storybook and Figma. So you'll be having all these custom or standardized components that can be tweaked with tokens. And then you have the option of choosing what kind of CMS provider, what kind of e-commerce provider, what kind of ERP provider, or none at all, to spin it up and have a site available for your clients very, very quickly. And then you can start building upon it. I know we talk iterative a lot, and Kyle, I know you're a Star Wars fan, so you think a little bit about Lego. You know, you've built up a little bit of a piece, and by the end of it, you have the Millennium Falcon. So, a 1,000-piece Lego set as you built these intricate pieces as a building block.
That's awesome. And yes, thank you always for including a little bit of Star Wars content for me. You definitely know what I love. So what's the situation is out-of-the-box connectors for e-commerce are limited in mid-market to enterprise. And we have existing partnerships with many commerce solutions, and they have great solutions. We love working with them and implementing them across the board. They have out-of-the-box connectors to Acumatica that many of our VAR partners have identified, and they do a great job. And what we've been told, the feedback that we've been getting and the experiences that we've been seeing is for our partners, the out-of-the-box commerce connectors get them 80% of the way there all the time. The challenge is that there's always 20% and it's different for every project. And that just means that there's going to be custom development on the B2B end that makes these commerce solutions as robust as possible and actually meet our customers' needs. We have a couple of examples of stories here from partners of ours. Recently, we started working together with one of our VAR partners, and they had just before engaging us lost a customer in the e-commerce space. They were doing great ERP work for them on the back end, but this customer had some pretty complex needs on the e-commerce side, and it actually turned out into being a little bit of lost business, which we hate. So once it was gone, they actually introduced us. They gave us kind of just a name and a number, and we were able to reach out to that customer and very quickly, with our e-commerce and development expertise, just reignite that conversation, get that conversation kind of going again to kind of meet those business needs. And as we can answer these e-commerce questions, as we can kind of fill in the gaps from the B2B e-commerce connector, we're able to loop in that VAR again to continue the ERP work that they were doing. And it just reiterates the fact that we are working together really on two separate sides of the same coin. We don't want to get into the ERP space. We want to rely on our VAR partners to handle all that work while we just kind of promote their solution with a more robust B2B e-commerce connector. Another example we have is a project that we recently completed where we did set up an Acumatica ERP connected to an e-commerce site. And there was an Acumatica VAR that was also working on this, and we do have a great solution implemented. The only challenge was we were both working through the customer. We weren't necessarily working together. And if we had worked together side by side, really building on each other's successes, we could have had a reduced time to market. We could have had reduced cost, a more robust solution for our customers. And that's a really scalable approach. So while there is success to be had, we really see a situation where working together really amplifies what we can do individually. And the fact of the matter is, as Acro Commerce being a development agency, we've lost business because we don't have the ERP's jobs. We need partners who can fill that space for us. And the agencies like us are going to be telling you the exact same story. But on the flip side of that coin, just like that example I gave you, VARs are losing business in e-commerce. There's no doubt about it. Having the true B2B e-commerce chops to build on those out-of-the-box connectors is what's going to set everyone up for success. So Calvin, we have terrific e-commerce partners, and they have these existing integrations that I'm talking about into the ERP. What we found is some confusion on what that connector is and what it accomplishes. So can you dive into what some of the misconceptions are surrounding those connectors?
Sure. So I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that the out-of-the-box solution can get you 80% of the way there at times. An example might be purchase orders, you could say. There may have a purchase order ability, or it may require in the marketplace a third-party app that attaches onto it. Unfortunately, if it only gets you 80% of the way there, it's not solving all of your business needs in many cases, and sometimes those are critical business needs As well, if you have a third-party provider, what you're trying to do is use a e-commerce solution and then have information passed into the third party, passed on to the ERP, and then you're playing a little bit of telephone as information is getting funneled through and trying to make it work. That's why we've sort of focused more on integrating directly with the ERP solution, so you can go straight to the source and then have that communication back and forth with the commerce provider so that they're both in sync. Now, another example could be something like connecting to an ERP system. So I'm going to use another food reference. It's almost lunchtime here, so you can tell that I'm already getting hungry. But I recently went to a restaurant where they had 200 menu items. And by the time I had gotten all the way through the menu, I had completely forgotten the first 100. With certain connections on an ERP system, there's tens, almost hundreds of connections. And for invoices in particular, I believe Acumatic has something like 3 to 4 invoice connections. This is where it's critical to have that VAR, who's an ERP expert, understanding which connection is the best connection for the flow, because there's nothing worse than losing time because of that time value for these partners of getting something out to the market so that their clients can start working with it, and then the clients can start buying and so forth. So I could go through a number of examples, but I don't want to spend all day just talking about examples and confusion. So I'll send it back to you, Kyle.
Yeah, I know you've done a lot of work on that ERP connector, and getting some VAR support on there is something that would make your life much more smoother, which we're trying to do here. So the impact of all this is when our integrations fail, our customers pay the price. And the first thing I like to dive into is a couple of supporting statistics for this. So a couple that stand out to me are 75% of B2B manufacturers will sell directly to their customers via digital commerce by 2025. 73% of 20 to 35-year-olds are involved in purchase decisions, and 54% of millennials prefer not to interact with a sales representative. Effectively, what this means is that people who are making buying decisions for our customers have grown up with an email. They've been buying off of Amazon. They've been buying off of their phones, the Apple Store, for as long as they've been making purchases. And now that they're running businesses and making these decisions in these B2B markets, they expect these buying experiences to be the same as they've had growing up. So when they get into a situation where they're going through these workflows and having to talk to a salesperson and have a back and forth in quoting, it could really stall or just lose sales. And for our customers, that's just not going to work. The insufficient integrations can lead to operational inefficiencies. If we're not plugged in with the right VAR and doing what's best on the back end, operational inefficiencies are going to arise, and we're going to have frustrated customers. When there's insufficient integrations on the front end, you're going to have customers that don't buy from our clients, and that's immediately going to result in lost business. So we know that VARs are losing business in mid-market enterprise due to this inability to react and scale on the commerce front and really engage with customers who are looking to and really prioritize buying online. So as buying behaviors continue to trend online, especially in customized and configured markets, acquiring new business without e-commerce expertise is just going to become increasingly difficult. And that's why we want to get engaged together. On the flip side, we have our challenges with not having ERP expertise. Calvin, you had an example of something that happened internally here at Acro Commerce.
Yeah, so we had a client who was never sold online before and reached out, and we did a discovery and strategy. So really wanting to a deep dive into how the organization works. And we had developed some very large scale solutions. The thing is, humans are a habit of nature, and change is difficult. I think we can all relate to that. When business processes change, it can get quite scary. And so the solution for that was really something small and iterative, so that it's time, value, money, getting it out into the market and being able to work with it and become comfortable and then build upon it. Not something like a power plant, for example, where you have nothing and then all of a sudden you flip a switch and you have this whole power plant system that's providing electricity. We want to keep it small, concise, and agile so that we can continue to build on it and deliver sprint by sprint.
Awesome. So knowing that, where do we go from here?
With that, we go to a DXP. I know we're all tired of acronyms, but DXP, bear with me, is Digital Experience Platform for Manufacturers. Truly, collaboration is key for composability, and we have to leverage the expertise of all of our team members. So in this particular realm, we might be talking more of VARs and ERPs, leveraging that so that we can bring ourselves together and really help put our some of these clients who are very unaware of how to start selling online, their best foot forward and confidence in our organizations doing so. So with that, Gesso is somewhat of the glue that pulls it all together with e-commerce platform, the CMS platform, and the ERP solution. So I'll send it back to you, Kyle, for the big reveal.
Yeah, you bet. This is what we call our DXP for manufacturing. And this is what we think is the best solution for B2B manufacturers in this space. And the first thing you're going to notice is right there at the top is Acumatica. As we said a number of times in this talk, Acumatica is the linchpin that brings this whole thing together. Having those optimized backend systems is the priority for our customers as they scale and grow. And we don't have the experience in that space. We want to rely on our VAR partners to provide those world-class results that we know they can do with their Acumatica solutions. We've identified from the beginning that this cloud ERP Acumatica VAR space is something that we really want to focus on partnering with. And we really, really are hoping that everybody here wants to get involved and keep this momentum going. From the other perspective, you can see that Acumatica plugs into Gesso, which gives access to this whole robust online solution that our customers are going to need as they sell online and they grow. We have these existing integrations with Shopify, BigCommerce, Drupal Commerce, whichever commerce platform is going to be the best for our customers. We can hit the ground running. We can plug those in and build iteratively off of that. We can get those custom workflows going, those POs and those invoices and everything that happens for that customer journey. We can build on that with our existing partnership network in the e-commerce space. You plug into a robust content management system. Acro has been building off of Drupal for 25 years. There's nothing in that space that we can't do given the open source environment of that. But to plug into a world-class headless CMS like Storyblock that has this awesome live editor where content marketers and content creators can log in and have these rich content solutions for their customers without having to involve back-end people, that becomes part of the experience for the Acumatica users selling online. We plug in Klaviyo for marketing automation and customer data analytics to segment those customers to get those buying behaviors studied. And including even Google Gemini for some custom AI solutions is really exciting stuff that helps us move forward with our customers' configuration needs and everything that comes ahead as the future grows and the changes and the challenges change. And by this really leads into that composable approach, how Gesso brings all these pieces together. So we talk about reducing time to market, reducing cost. Well, we just plug in the necessary pieces into Gesso to show that on the front end so that our customers can start from that MVP, that minimum viable product, and then iterate on that as they go. Add the Klaviyo, add the Gemini, add things as it's needed, as the budget allows, so that at least we can start selling online as quickly as possible and compete with the big boys in the space. So effectively, to wrap it all up, taking this scalable approach, using this DXP for manufacturing, this digital experience platform, it allows our VARs and us to succeed in the $50 to $500 million market by offering the necessary comprehensive solution that's needed in this space. So I get excited talking about this. Calvin, let's just take a moment to step back and see if there was any questions that anybody had about what we're talking about here today. I've got one here from Greg. He is asking, how does a DXP compare to an all-in-one like NetSuite? That's a really good question. A DXP compares to an all-in-one NetSuite because it provides an alternative to that all-in-one solution. An all-in-one NetSuite can come to your customer and offer them this solution that is great, it's comprehensive, it has everything, but everything's built together is the drawback. So there's a little bit of a rip and replace. If we go with something like a DXP, we can make changes on the fly without that whole rip and replace, and you can have the best in breed solutions, not just what's set out in front of you. Does that kind of summarize what you would say as well, Calvin?
Yeah.
Perfect. I love when the smart guys tell me I'm talking correctly. Okay. We'll give this a couple more seconds here before we log off.